Alright, today's video will be a quickie list on the topic of which champions seem to be the most meta resistant in League of Legends. Basically, these are the champions that, regardless of meta, we'll see play in at least solo queue, usually because they promote a very lone wolf, I will carry you mentality. Unlike other list videos, this one will be shorter and more concise. You can interpret this list in terms of meta resistant, the champions who are most overplayed, or the champions that attract the most lone wolves and one-trick ponies. Number 5 on the list is Blitzcrank, the God Hand. Doesn't matter if your team could use a healer, a peeler, or anything. It doesn't matter if the meta involves champions like Alistar and Amumu who will suck to be pulled. You will see Blitzcrank in solo queue and the player will either suck royally or there will be such a cancer to the enemy team that you win by the sheer bullshit of his pulls. He's probably the support that most encompasses the soullessness of solo queue in that it's purely based on winning fast and hard rather than winning effectively and cleanly. Even against shitty matchups or bad metas, a godly or lucky Blitzcrank can turn the tide and shit on the very idea of negative matchups. You can argue that Thresh should be taking this spot, but Thresh is far more methodical and slow paced, while Blitzcrank is pure vroom vroom herder, one button win. Number 4 is mid lane Zed. No matter how many changes he receives, he always has a player base. No matter who is popular in mid lane, he's always played. A good Zed makes your life a living hell and the rest just solve world hunger. Whether the flashiness or the carrying potential is what attracts people the most, he's a mid laner you're most likely to see a lone wolf playing, or just someone who really wants to rank up in solo queue considering mid lane is arguably the most snowbally lane. Sadly, sometimes it puts the team at odds against itself because you may have been relying on your mid pick to be a mage and now you're an all AD team, but even then they can still tear the enemy team apart. Zed was even plaguing solo queue during a tank meta that heavily oppressed him, so it's safe to say his player base simply doesn't give a fuck. Number 3 is Riven and Fiora. I say both of these because it seems that the Riven players sort of just migrated to Fiora. Either way, the player base of these champions has already garnered such a hateful response that most say your game can be assumed a loss or a win depending on whether or not your Riven or Fiora is godly or sucks ass. This, of course, fully encompasses solo queue to the letter. These champions promote very aggressive playstyles and obliterate your opponent to the point where they flounder if they fail to do so. They have the killing potential to completely win the game by themselves, unlike the others already on the list. The fact that they promote a selfish playstyle yet reward you for doing so regardless of the situation in the game makes them naturally attractive to lone wolf players and one-trick ponies, who will pick them regardless of negative matchups, oppressive metas, and against any opponent. Number 2 is the dreaded Vayne. For better or worse, she's probably the marksman most likely to stick around regardless of meta. She's a duelist type of champion, basically Riven with range instead of stabbing. She has a lot of outplay potential and she can melt most targets if she's left unchecked. There is a reason the term Vayne spotting exists. She attracts the players who know she can tear people to shreds but may not exactly know how to play her, or because it's obvious they've been winning their matches by sheer fortune of the champion. You'll see them in every meta farming dangerously and dying, picking fights with opponents without taking into consideration the location of allies and the enemy, trading their life for a kill and putting a team at a disadvantage. A close contender to this is obviously Ezreal, but he doesn't carry the same infamous nature and name that Vayne does. Number 1 is obviously Lee Sin. You should have been able to see this coming because he most certainly couldn't. Right now, his win rate is a low 45%, and it usually is that shitty, but his play rate is consistently the absolute highest for junglers. Even if a player is bad at him, they'll still try to play him and keep playing him despite sucking if this win rate is of any indicator. He's perhaps one of the hardest champions to play. He definitely showcases this by either utterly stomping a game before can even get rolling, or flat out sucking and doing nothing. Regardless of the meta, even a super tanky one which hampers him, a strong Lee Sin player can Rawal stomp an entire team full of champions to counter him if he can manage to outplay all of them. He's without a doubt someone you could learn to play and never not have a reason to play him. Perfect for the lone wolf player that simply wants to carry, and perfect to take from bronze to challenger as he never seems to lose effectiveness as long as the player stays strong on them. Anyhow, I know this video is unusually short for the channel or list videos, but I've been uploading some super long videos and I decided to take it easy today. I also want to mention the fun fact that I sometimes just ban these champions in the hope that I screw over a one-trick pony at some point. Either way, I hope you enjoyed the quickie list and thank you for watching. This channel is supported by my sponsors, Crunchyroll and Loot Crate. Check out the description below for links to the websites. Signing up for any trials, including Crunchyroll's free anime trial, greatly supports my channel. Also remember to give the video a like to support the channel and subscribe if you haven't yet.